You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, beautiful friends. How are we today? We are going to talk about a great topic today. I would do anything to lose weight. I'm sure you've said this before. I'd give anything. I'd do anything. I'd be willing to try anything to lose weight. But before we get to the topic and I forget, I want to remind you that each month of 2024, I'm giving away my cookbook, a copy of my cookbook to one of you. You do have to listen to the podcast to find out if you are a winner. And right now I'm going to announce the August winner. It's JoJo51701. And JoJo says, I'm loving Megan's podcast. They are just what I need at this stage of life. Megan teaches women how to get out of the vicious cycle of dieting and instead create a sustainable lifestyle to be enjoyed. I'm finding peace through Megan, and I'm so grateful to have found this podcast. Have a listen. You'll be so glad you did. Jojo, thank you so much for your amazing, wonderful review. Please email me, megan@skinnyfitalicious.com, to claim your free cookbook. And if you are listening right now and you want a chance to win a copy of my cookbook during the month of September, enter a review in Apple Podcasts, and I will randomly pick a winner for this month and announce it in October. And, by the way, thank you all for your amazing reviews. I'm so glad the podcast is really helping so many of you, and the message is getting through about sustainability and, hey, we shouldn't be doing things unless we can do them until we're 85 years old. I think some of the things that I'm saying are resonating. And, sometimes when you do this kind of work, you feel like you're on an island all by yourself and you're like, is anybody out there? Is anybody hearing these messages? So reading your reviews is telling me that this is helping some of you. And that just fills me up with so much joy for you, because I know that this is a tough journey and I know it feels very isolating and alone, like there's something wrong with you, and you're not alone. So today I want to share a really heartfelt perspective with you, along with some tough love that you probably need to hear. So, I lost 80 pounds about 15 years ago now, and it's kind of crazy to think that it's been that long. And I've now been working also with women. It'll be 11 years this coming year. So I've been doing this work for a long time. And, when you've been doing this for a long time and you've gone through it yourself, you start to see the same patterns. You see the same behavioral patterns in women over and over again. And you hear the same frustrations. And the thing is, I've been in your shoes. I can relate to the misery. I can relate to the frustration. And probably one of my greatest weaknesses is that I want to help every woman that I speak to. And part of me just wants to shake them so badly and tell them how this is possible for you. You are not broken. You are not helpless. You are not less than just because you're older or have certain health conditions and certain life demands. You can do this and you can enjoy food. And most of the time, the root issue of why we have excess weight isn't even really about the food. And I think the saddest thing I see is that so many women just don't believe in themselves, so they don't help themselves. They stay stuck. And as somebody who has been on the other side of this and come out of this, I would never go back to feeling that misery. I would do anything it takes to help myself and get to where I am now, because life is better, and not better because I'm smaller. It's better because of who I became through that journey, how I transformed through that journey. And I just think that there's so many women who don't give themselves that opportunity. And it's such a sad thing. Seeing women who don't believe they're worthy, don't believe they, can make themselves a priority with their other life demands. They don't believe they have a good relationship with food. They don't believe they can lose weight and keep it off for good. It's sad, really, really sad. So I've been down this path myself. I know where a lot of you are coming from. And believe me, my journey has not been easy. And I did not believe in myself either. In fact, I had to start doing a lot of things that I was uncomfortable with to grow my belief in myself and my belief that I could change. I had to begin to prove to myself that I would follow through and keep my commitments to myself. Part of reaching a goal isn't getting to the finish line. I think so many of us just think about finish line. When am I going to have my dream body? When am I going to see that scale number? It's not always about that. It's everything you've gone through and how you grew throughout that whole journey. It's the grit. It's the determination that you will do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, to help yourself. And that right there is what builds your confidence and builds your belief. It's not some fairy dust that gets sprinkled on you. Believing in yourself happens from you taking action, repeated action, and especially taking action when you don't think that action is going to get you anywhere. You don't think it's going to pay off. You don't think it's going to make a difference. That is the most important time you have to be taking action. And what's difficult for me as a nutritionist who counsels women to lose body fat is to see how many women say, I would do anything to lose weight. I would give anything, and see them do nothing to help themselves. Do you know I see so many women who come talk to me in my consultations 3 years later, they're in the exact same place. That is a difficult thing for me to see. Knowing that that woman is still on a struggle bus and has chosen to do nothing about it. I would do anything to lose weight. I'm so desperate to lose weight, and they're still in the same place. And it's a choice. It's also really difficult to hear so many women so desperate to lose weight, and they're doing dumb things to achieve weight loss. Yeah, I said it. Dumb things, stupid things. Think about it this way. If your vet said, hey, your dog's kind of overweight, what would you do? Would you walk your dog a little more? Maybe cut back slightly on the portion sizes of the food? You probably wouldn't change the food. Unless you're feeding them a lot of table scraps. You probably wouldn't change the food drastically. You just kind of slightly cut back on the portion and walk them a little more. Would you feed your dog sticks of butter or put your dog on fasting and cut out all your dog's carbs and make your dog exercise for 3 hours a day and make them miserable? Probably not. This is what I mean by stupid stuff. But people are so desperate to lose weight, they will literally do anything except the boring, basic stuff to take care of their health and lose some body fat. So recently, I went down this massive rabbit hole on TikTok about carnivore. Have you heard of carnivore? Basically, carnivore is a really high-fat diet, high saturated fat with protein. And all these women are like, oh my God, I feel so great. I've never had so much energy. And I'm sitting here as a nutritionist no kidding, you feel great. You're finally eating adequate protein. Because you know what? 100% of the time when I see clients, they're never eating adequate protein. Never. I've never seen a client. Never. So when these women are saying on TikTok how amazing they feel eating all this fat and protein and not eating any carbs. I literally watched a woman the other day saying all the vegetables. It was the vegetables making me fat and the vegetables causing so much inflammation. And I'm like, no, that wasn't it. No, that's not it. Nope. But people convince themselves of these things. And it's crazy because I'm like, well, if you just ate adequate protein and then filled in the rest of the calories with other stuff you like, instead of cutting it all out and doing these really silly things, right, you would be able to have a good balance. But it made me so angry for women as I'm watching all these videos. And I probably should just stay off social media so I don't get angry at this stuff. But I saw all these videos of women saying how they're eating sticks of butter. I'm eating sticks of butter as a snack. Wow. And they're eating sticks of butter and steaks and eggs. And these women are expressing how miserable they were. Yeah, we got the videos where the women are saying, "Oh my God, I feel amazing." And part of me is like, are you doing this for clicks? Do you really eat like this in real life? Are you doing this to sell, your product that you're trying to push to these people? Like, part of me questions some of these people doing these wacko things. But I think some of them are actually for real. They're like, I love eating sticks of butter. And I'm like, well, when you cut out every single food group and you can't eat anything you like, I guess sticks of butter are going to taste pretty darn good. It's going to taste like a cake, But, there were all these women that were really expressing how miserable they were. And this is what really made me sad, because these women that I was watching, they were saying like, I don't know how much longer I can eat like this. I just want to eat like a normal person. And they're like, carnivore ladies, how do I just get through this? How do I just white knuckle through this? And the thing is that these women don't see it right now, but they are incarcerated in a diet prison. Even the ones who think this is working and think this is magical and think they feel their best, listen, you may be losing weight on some wacko diet. But like I always say, if you can't eat that way until you're 85 years old to keep weight off, weight is going to come back. And then where will you be? What will you do? So many women say that they want food freedom. They want freedom from diets. They're sick and tired of dieting. But at the same time, they're enabling restriction and incarcerating themselves in diet prisons with these wacky ways of eating. And no one stops and says, is this normal? Can I do this until I'm 85? And there are some people who will say that they can, and they're going to just slowly reintroduce stuff. I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Because if you just go back to how you were eating and you start reintroducing the stuff that you struggled with and you don't really know how to balance your plate, you're just going to end up back at square one because you don't know how to eat like a normal person without gaining weight. I'm sorry, but you don't. So people who think they can gradually bring things back in, it doesn't work that way, honey. Nope. And by the way, I'm going to say this as a nutritionist, I'm all for whatever works for somebody. Like if it truly is something that is a lifestyle, you don't miss carbs, you're never going to eat pizza, you're never going to eat a fruit or vegetable a day in your life. You truly love this lifestyle you've created for yourself. And I'm saying lifestyle in air quotes with a lot of question marks in my head. But if it truly does work for you and you can do it until the day you die, go for it. Go on with your bad self. But here's the one thing I'm going to say about this diet in particular. It is going to go down as one of the most dangerous diets, carnivore. Why? Because eating an extremely high level of saturated fat is a high risk. We know this from studies. And cardiovascular disease is a silent killer, and it can take decades for arteries to calcify and clog. And you know what happens then? A stroke or a heart attack. Even the doctor who came up with this whole carnivore nonsense, he wrote a book, and he came out recently and stopped doing carnivore. He came out and admitted it fully to the public that he stopped doing it because he was having negative health consequences. Cholesterol was going up and a bunch of other stuff I can't remember. I remember watching his video on Instagram where he said, I stopped doing this. I started eating fruits and vegetables again. And then there's this other diet that I just started finding on TikTok too. I mean, literally you can find any wacko thing these days that people are doing with food. It's called this hyperketosis diet. And I don't even know what that is as a nutritionist because hyperketosis isn't even a scientific thing. It's made up by influencers. Now influencers are making up diets instead of listening to reason. It's kind of crazy. And kind of scary, like what people are doing with food and following blindly what other people are doing who have no medical training. That's a scary thing. So basically, from what I gathered from all these videos I was watching, people are eating one meal a day. That's 500 calories. And again, it's high fat and high protein. Not sustainable until you're 85 years old, eating one meal a day and only 500 calories. I mean, not sustainable. But despite that, I saw thousands of women commenting on these posts. Tell me how to do this. Tell me, can I eat a cucumber? Tell me, can I eat a pickle with my steak? They're so desperate to find a solution to their weight. Like, women are so desperate for a solution to weight loss that they will eat 500 calories a day or make themselves miserable by restricting all the foods that they enjoy, where they're eating sticks of butter and that's the only thing they get to look forward to, where they're barely hanging on or starving themselves on Weight Watchers or buying packaged foods from Optavia, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, Arbonne. But women are not willing to do the most basic, boring things to make this a sustainable way of life. Does this make sense? I don't think it makes any sense. Right? I mean, I do anything to lose weight, but I'm not willing to get steps. I'm not willing to strength train 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not willing to do a little cardio here and there. I'm not willing to eat my protein. I'm not willing to eat my fiber and learn what foods give me fiber. I'm not willing to eat any fruits or vegetables. I'm not willing to fuel my body well. I'm not willing to rinse and repeat and be patient as I work on my body composition goals because I recognize that I'm 50 years old and, this has probably been going on since I was 20. All these bad habits have been stacking up. I would do anything to lose weight, but I'm not willing to do the most basic, boring things that have been proven time and time again to help me manage and improve my health. Like, you're willing to eat sticks of butter as a snack, but you're not willing to do these normal things? Listen, I was once in your shoes too. I always thought there must be an easier way. There must be something I'm missing. There must be some kind of health problem with me. It must be my thyroid. There must be a shortcut. Let me just do this as a jump start, and then once I lose weight, I can go back to normal. Except my normal is what caused the weight problem in the first place. Just like you, I kept doing these wacky things, thinking there must be something wrong with me. Once I finally realized that I had to be able to follow a way of eating until I was 85 years old, that was when I was finally able to break free from all the noise and diet nonsense. Once I broke free of that, I realized that no one was coming. I was my only hope. And I was willing to do whatever it took to figure out how to lose weight. I was willing to get resourceful. And I got resourceful. I learned what a calorie deficit was. I learned how to cook. I didn't know how to, which is funny because I now have a blog with all kinds of recipes on it. I learned what foods were proteins. I learned what foods filled me up the most. I experimented with different recipes. I got creative with eating out and started paying attention to my calories and protein. I learned to keep commitments to myself. If I said I was going to get steps, I figured out how to get them no matter what was happening in my life because no one was coming to save me. No one was going to show up at my front door and tell me, Megan, you need to do this. It's the same for you. No one is coming. It is up to you to change your life. You can hire a coach or a nutritionist like me, or have accountability from friends, family members, but truly, you are your only hope. No one is going to save you. No one is going to make sure you eat your protein, make sure you eat your meals, make sure you get your steps, make sure you're not acting like a jerk to yourself, and make sure you get to bed on time. No one is coming to hold your hand. No one is going to slap the food out of your hand or tell you didn't screw up last night when you ate all the ice cream in the house and you're sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. You are your only hope. That means you get to be the hero of your story. And that is fantastic news. The hardest part of my job as a nutritionist and as a coach is that I can't make you desire this change. I can't force you to do these things and change and have your own back. You have to be your own hero. Like I said, though, that's good news. You can swoop in and save the day anytime you want. You can save your life. You are not helpless. You are not broken by any means. Believe me, I thought I was too. But you have to learn to take action and take radical responsibility for yourself. You have to learn how to push yourself to do things even when you don't believe they will matter. I can only go for a walk around the block tonight. That won't matter. That's what you think, so then you don't go. And then you don't go for a walk for 2 nights, 5 nights, 10 nights. The problem isn't the distance. The problem is you're not consistent. Going every night just for a walk around the block, if that's where you're starting, is going to get you stronger if you are doing absolutely nothing right now. And now you're also more consistent if you just go around the block versus waiting for the right time to do it the right way. You're not getting any stronger that way. No one's coming to save you that way. You're wasting time. You're wasting time not feeling your best, not living your best life. You're wasting time. I've seen so many women say to me, like, when they message me and stuff, I just can't bring myself to eat protein with my breakfast. I just can't bring myself to go for a walk around the block. Like, protein for breakfast could literally be a 25-gram yogurt or a pre-mixed protein shake. If you say these kind of things, you're acting helpless. I've been doing this for almost 11 years now, and some individuals have told me, I just can't bring myself to go for a walk around the block. Like, I know I should go for a walk around the block every night, but I'm just not doing it. Well, can you walk around your house to get some more steps or your basement? Well, I get distracted. Okay, can you get a $100 walking pad off Amazon? Yeah, but then I have to pull it out at night, and then my family's going to watch me, and that's embarrassing. Okay, well, can we go to the gym and walk on a treadmill? Well, that's too boring. Okay, can you watch a Netflix video, listen to a podcast or your favorite movie while you're walking on the treadmill? Well, that's not exciting enough. I mean, at what point are you going to say to yourself, I'm going to do the thing I don't want to do? If you want to find an excuse, you're going to find an excuse. But at what point are you just going to say, I'm going to do the thing I don't want to do? Because remember, no one is coming to save you. If you do not save yourself, you are going to find yourself on your deathbed with every struggle you've had your whole life. You have to push yourself to do things even when you don't want to do them. Like, do you not brush your teeth? And do you make all kinds of excuses about brushing your teeth when stuff happens in life? I bet you don't, because you don't view teeth brushing as optional. That is the difference right there. You view walking and eating your nutrients like protein as optional. Until you start owning it and calling yourself out on your own BS excuses, nothing will change. But the amazing news is you get to be the hero of your story. You and only you can transform yourself. It's up to you. So if you are willing to do anything it takes to lose weight, then you have to push yourself to do the things even when you don't want to. It doesn't make sense to me why thousands of women on TikTok are okay with eating sticks of butter, but not walking around the block. It's a no. I can't walk around the block. I'd rather eat sticks of butter. Eating adequate protein, it's a no. Learning how to fuel your body well so you have energy, sleep better, have good digestion, and can lose some body fat while eating your favorite foods, it's a no. Like, why are we willing to do the weird stuff but nothing that makes sense? If we are so desperate to lose weight and would do anything to lose weight, what is stopping us from doing the basic, boring stuff that works? This is something that you really have to dive into with yourself and do some self-reflection, which I think a lot of people avoid. Like, eating sticks of butter, like I said, if you can do it until you're 85 years old, do one of these wacky diets to keep weight off, great, keep doing it. But I highly doubt majority of people can do that. I would say 97% of the people doing these kind of weird things, and we have got studies actually that back some of this stuff up, 97% of the people are just going to gain the weight back and then some. Right? And then you feel even worse, right? So it's like, where did this even get you? It was just a Band-Aid. So I want to tell you a story about something that happened a long time ago when I first started my coaching. Here's a context, and this will highlight more of what I'm trying to say here. So when I was finishing up nutrition school, I offered free coaching to anyone who wanted it for 6 months. I literally sent out an email to all of my email subscribers, which I didn't have that many at that time. And I said, respond to this email if you want free coaching from me, and I'll send you a form to fill out to see if you're a good fit. And I had 1,000 women respond to the email. And I sent all of those 1,000 women the form, which only took about 2 minutes to fill out. And out of the 1,000 women who responded yes, how many do you think filled out a form for free coaching for 6 months? Now, keep in mind, if you are following me and listening to me, it means you have a desire to reach a goal probably. Whether it's to lose body fat, gain some confidence, have a better relationship with food, reverse a condition like prediabetes, have more energy, right? Something like that. The single most effective path for reaching any type of goal, no matter what it is going to be through one-on-one coaching. That is actually documented by research. Someone who has a goal is more likely to reach that goal by having accountability. Now, a lot of people arguably will say, I can't afford it, which in some cases is true. In some cases, it's not true, and it's just a lie that you tell yourself because you don't really believe that you can do it. Now, I'm not here to judge, but what I can say is that excuse was removed when I did this giveaway because you were getting 6 months of free coaching. So that excuse of I can't afford it went out the window. So out of the 1,000 people who responded yes, how many do you think, in an effort to achieve what they say they wanted so badly, I'm willing to do anything it takes to lose weight, how many of those 1,000 women do you think took 2 minutes to fill out a form? I'll tell you, it was 200. Out of 1,000. So if you are one of the 800 who did not fill out the form, you failed. You failed the first test, meaning your actions and words don't align. Step 1, you failed. You, from now on, have forfeited the right to complain about your lack of results because you couldn't take 2 minutes to fill out a form to win free coaching for 6 months. Your right to complain is over. Then there was step 2. So now we got 200 women. Out of the 200 women who recognize that if I say I want something, I have to actually do the things to make it happen, they passed step 1. But then there was step 2. Step 2 was a second form. Again, only takes 2 minutes. And I did that on purpose, actually, because sometimes there are people who see the word giveaway and they never read the details and they just toss their name in. You're like, yeah, I want something for free, right? There's those kind of people. So the second form is kind of like, are you paying attention? Do you really want this help? Are you truly interested in coaching? So of the 200 women who passed step 1, only 30 women passed step 2. So of the 170 people who did not fill out form 2, you have forfeited the right to complain about your lack of progress. You have actively chosen to remain stuck and frustrated. You have lost the right to complain about your lack of progress because you have allowed your actions and your words to not align. There is a disconnect. You say you want something, but your actions tell a very different story. And that is fine. By the way, I'm not judging anyone. However, what I am saying is do not waste your energy or anyone else's energy by complaining. You have forfeited the right to complain about your lack of progress if you're not willing to help yourself. You can't say nothing works for me. You can't say I'm doing everything I can. You can't say it's menopause. You can't say it's my old age. You can't say I've tried everything because you have not. The simplest step, you haven't done it. So you haven't done everything. You haven't done everything you can. You've lost the right to complain. Now, after step 2, the next step was for those 30 women to read a document and book a call with me online. Out of the 30 women who passed step 2, do you know how many did the next step for free coaching for 6 months? Only 4. Only 4 women took advantage of free coaching for 6 months. Do you see the disconnect? It should be so abundantly clear why most people fail. why most people remain stuck, why most people remain frustrated, why most people say, I've spent decades and years and I have not achieved my goals and I don't look the way that I want and I don't feel good and I'm sick and tired of it, except you can't say that anymore because you are the creator of your own misery. If you can't fill out a form, then fill out another form, then schedule a call, you are the creator of your own misery. You can no longer complain about your lack of progress. You can no longer say, I've tried everything, or it's menopause, or it's my age, or nothing works for me, or it's got to be the carbs or the vegetables. You have given up the right to complain because your actions are completely misaligned with what you say you want. Now, everything I do in my coaching is very purposeful because I want to identify the women who are truly ready for change. There's a psychological underpinning for why I do these things. I don't do free coaching anymore, but I do provide free 30-minute consultations, and I see the same behavior from women quite often with my free consultations. There is a 2-minute form to fill out when you book a free consultation with me, and I still to this day have women who book a call and never fill out a form. I think this is the rudest thing that people do. It is so, so rude. Like, you know, the form gets emailed to you and you also get it texted to you, and then they just don't fill it out. It's a 2-minute form. I'm giving you the tiniest amount of friction. Fill out a 2-minute form. That is the tiniest amount of friction, and some women can't even make it that far. That should paint a very vivid picture about why most people fail. I even have some women who can't even book a call. Like, they can't even get to that step. They send me messages and say, I don't want to waste your time and book a call if this is too expensive. What? I'm offering you a free 30-minute call with me where you get to tell me what you've been struggling with, and I'm going to give you free insight into what steps you need to take to reach your goals. Free. No pressure. I never talk anybody into coaching because if I have to talk somebody into coaching, they are going to be a nightmare client, and I don't want to have to deal with that. Yet, here we are. Some women are like, I don't want to waste your time. What? Like, you have already failed if you can't even book a call and you're worried about wasting my time. If you send me a message like this, I already know you are not ready to change. You are not ready for results either. I'm sorry, you just aren't. The thing is, it's free to you. You have nothing to lose. And what happened to having adult conversations? If you come to a call and you can't afford it, just say, Megan, this isn't right for me right now. That is a totally reasonable adult thing to do. It's kind of childish, some of the stuff that I see. And I'm calling some of you out on it because I know you're stuck and miserable and you're wondering why. And it's this right here. And I know that this is a hard thing to look at. And you know why? Because this used to be me. I was that person. I didn't want to waste anybody's time. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feeling. I didn't feel worthy of investing in myself because I didn't trust that I'd actually do what I said I was, wanting to do. And I think that's where a lot of people are. But if you say, I would do anything to lose weight, but you don't take advantage of a free 30-minute consultation to get help, then you're not ready to change because you're not willing to do anything it takes. You are not willing to have an adult conversation, and until you get over that mindset hurdle, nothing's going to change. If you are not willing to fill out a form or have a free consultation with somebody who has a proven record of helping women, then you're not willing to do anything to lose weight, and you have forfeited your right to complain. When you hear about people like me who've lost weight and kept it off for a really, really long time, it's a very small percentage of people. You would think that these people would have to scale mountains or complete the most complicated, difficult tasks. And the reality is, it's actually pretty straightforward, pretty basic. It's literally like do the smallest things step by step and don't blow yourself up by being a jerk to yourself. If you really want to be successful, you're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable. Even the smallest uncomfortable things. And if you don't do it, you will not reach your goals. And if you don't reach your goals, you can't blame anyone else but yourself. You can't say you've tried everything. You can't say nothing works for you. You simply say to yourself, I'm not willing to do the most basic stuff to reach my goals, and that's why I'm not where I want to be. That would be the most honest thing to say to yourself or anybody else. Your doctor asks you about your weight. You say, I'm not willing to do the most basic things to reach my goals. That's why I'm overweight. Period. The end. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sulk. If you want, you can spend some time reflecting, and I really do encourage you to do that. Because when you say this to yourself, like, I'm not willing to do the most basic stuff to reach my goals, and that's why I'm stuck and not where I want to be. When you say that, there's a little bit of a sting there, right? So I recommend that if that's you, you got to sit with that uncomfortable, yucky feeling, and you got to do some inner work, some self-reflection to figure out, why is this difficult for you? Why, when you have a little bit of friction, do you not take action? Most likely, I'm going to guess, it's because you don't believe in yourself. You don't think it's going to matter. If I had to guess, I think it would probably come down to that. But here's the thing, the only way you're truly going to begin to believe in yourself is by taking action. Uncomfortable action, imperfect action. That's the only way you start to build belief. You build confidence and belief and trust in yourself by taking action and doing things. It will not show up on your doorstep. You will not instantly get a spark of belief. You have to do things to get confidence and grow and believe in yourself. It takes you taking action. It takes you pushing yourself repeatedly, doing things when you don't want to do them, when you're too tired, when you think it's not going to matter. Oh, walk around the block isn't going to matter. It takes you doing it repeatedly to show yourself you can do it. That's the only way you build confidence and belief, is through action. There's nothing else magical about it. I mean, all the women that you hear on this podcast who've worked with me, who've gained freedom from food and dieting, who are enjoying foods that they, eat in moderation, and they're not restricting foods anymore, yet they're losing body fat, they're feeling stronger, they have more energy, are sleeping better, are at peace with their bodies. Those women that I have worked with who have been on this podcast, they simply followed these little baby steps and took action, starting with that consultation. They did the small task that seemed so insignificant, but they kept following through. And that finally got them to where they needed to be. They didn't all trust and believe that it was going to lead to where they got to be, but they just trusted the process. They knew if they put one foot in front of the other every day, they're doing the best they can. Every day they're working on these skills. Every day they're doing it and figuring out how to do it no matter what was happening in their world. They're the ones who finally did it. And that's how you start to build that confidence and belief. But if you just sit back on the sideline and you think like somebody's going to like magically, sprinkle you with some fairy dust and you're magically going to be motivated, you're magically going to believe in yourself, it's not going to happen. Believe me, I was the one sitting, on my couch all the time, every night, feeling miserable, feeling alone, feeling like I was like never experiencing life. I was, living small, not living my dreams, and I never thought that I could do it. But it wasn't until I started doing stuff for myself and proving to myself that I could do it that I started to believe. And you guys know how much I love walking. I've talked about this so much on this podcast about how I just started walking one day, and that was what started me on my weight loss journey. And for some of my clients, depending on where they are, for some of my clients, I give them a tiny goal of just walking around the block to get started, because daily steps are proven scientifically to help with fat loss and our health. So for just 2 weeks, I will tell a client, I just want you to walk around the block every day. That's what I will tell them to do. Easy, right? Not so much, because it's friction. It's a small amount of friction. It requires them to take action. And the only thing that gets in the way of taking action is the thing between our ears. I had a client once tell me she wasn't walking around the block because she was so worried about how she was ever going to get to 10,000 steps a day. This is an example of what I call stupid thinking. I'm not picking on this client, but sometimes our thinking is really stupid. I've caught myself even like with stupid thinking all the time. I think it's just a natural human thing. Our thinking doesn't like make sense because logically, like with walking, something is better than doing nothing. So if you're doing nothing because you're worried about how you're ever going to get to 10,000 steps a day, that's just stupid thinking. It's not logical. So there's a disconnect with your thinking. There's a disconnect, and it's the only thing that's stopping you. And this client, she would always tell me how desperate she was to lose weight, how she was willing to do anything to lose weight. And I explained to her, the reason you're not losing weight is because you're not willing to do something very basic to help yourself, because the thing between your ears is talking you out of it. Likely because you don't believe it will make a difference, you don't believe it will matter, and you don't believe in yourself. You don't trust yourself. You think, I'm probably not going to follow through. I'm too busy. My life is too busy. I'm the breadwinner. I've got these things. I'll never be able to do this long term. This is going to take forever if I just walk around the block. So you don't do anything, except that line of thinking totally sucks, doesn't it? Like, does it even make sense? And I mean, that's the thing. Like, we never stop and think about this and are like, does this line of thinking even make sense? The thing is that if you're looking for an excuse not to do something, you're going to find it. But this is what I said earlier. No one's coming. No one's going to save you. You have to save yourself. Like, think about this. If your child was worried about how they were ever going to get to college algebra when they're just like in algebra 1, would it make sense for you as a parent to be like, oh yeah, don't bother doing any algebra. Don't bother trying. It's so far out, you're probably not going to be able to do it. No, that's so silly. That thinking doesn't make sense. Like, in real life, we don't do these things anywhere except with nutrition and exercise, except with taking care of our health, which is fundamentally the most important thing about life. Taking care of your health, right? It's not just about weight loss, it's your health. Like, when I think about my health, I always think about my dad, which, curious enough, it's been a year to this day that I'm recording this podcast that he passed away. My dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when I was 40, and he passed away last year. And I think about how he couldn't go to the bathroom on his own. He was in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk anymore. He couldn't get in and out of a car anymore. He couldn't lift a bag of groceries anymore. When I go to the gym, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm doing this so I can be strong, because I want to be able to get in and out of a car until I'm 85 years old. I want to be able to walk until, the day I die. I want to be strong and be able to carry my groceries into the house. I don't think so much about I got to be skinny. I got to see this number on the scale. Even when I was losing weight, I wasn't really thinking about that scale or being skinny. I was thinking constantly, I want to be strong. How do I get fit? How do I get strong? How do I make myself feel proud? That was all I was always thinking about. I was never thinking how do I get skinny? How do I see the scale go down? I never thought about that. And still to this day, I don't think that way. And I think that's the problem, is that our thinking is not aligned. A lot of times there's a disconnect with how we're thinking about things. And I've said this before, mindset is the real problem. We're not good at spotting where our thinking doesn't make sense, especially when combined with a little friction. And I can't tell you how many times I have been on a coaching call with a client and they've suddenly realized, as they were explaining something to me, that what they were thinking didn't make sense. And it may be the exact thing keeping you stuck and you don't realize it. But if you are truly, truly willing to do whatever it takes to release yourself from this weight and this diet prison you've been incarcerated in, then you would do anything it took to help yourself. You would realize no one is coming to save you. And until you start aligning your actions with what you say you want, you can't complain about where you are if you are not willing to help yourself and do the tiniest actions to help yourself. Anybody who wants to do this can do this. You just have to do the little things. And if that tiny bit of friction stops you, you got to take a minute to stop and self-reflect. Why does the smallest amount of friction stop you in your tracks? Is it because you don't believe in yourself? I mean, if you are really willing to do whatever it takes to lose weight, you can do this, and I promise it's easier than all the stupid diet stuff you've done. It's so much easier than feeling miserable and eating sticks of butter or whatever crazy things we're doing with foods these days. I should really stay off TikTok because it's just insane. But the bottom line is, if you say you want something, your actions have to align with it. Align your actions with what you say you want. period. And that is, if you are willing to do anything it takes to lose weight and to be healthy and feel better, align your actions with what you say you want. And if your actions tell a different story, they don't align with what you say you want, that means you have to do some deeper self-reflection to find out why. And like I said, most likely it comes down to you don't believe in your ability to do it. But you can. Trust me, you can. Okay, ladies, I hope that this discussion was helpful. I'll chat with you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.